Well, tensions are spiraling in southern Syria once again. Just a day after a brief ceasefire, fighting has erupted between Druze fighters and Bedouin tribes in Sweida province. Well, the fragile calm has shattered and the consequences could reach far beyond Syrian borders. Syrian government forces have reportedly returned to Sweida despite earlier claims that local factions would handle security. The resumption of fighting raises major concerns. Number one, is Damascus losing control of its own territory? Or is Israel opening another front in Syria to keep Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in power? On the ground, armed tribes allied with the Syrian government could be seen patrolling the streets in Sweida. Well, after renewed clashes broke out overnight between Druze armed groups and members of Bedouin clans and simultaneous fighting between forces allied with Syria's government and Druze fighters outside Sweida was also reported. Apart from that, plumes of smoke and fire from the fighting and clashes could be spotted across various parts of the Sweida province. According to war monitors, nearly 600 people have died in the fighting since Sunday, with the number of casualties in the ongoing fighting expected to rise further. Reports of Syrian military vehicles moving through Sweida contrast sharply with Damascus's official denials. The Syrian Interior Ministry says that no new deployments are underway, while Israeli officials have reportedly allowed a 48-hour corridor for limited Syrian government troop movements in Sweida in a bid to calm the hostilities there. And this chaos, it showcases a major setback for Syria's new leadership. Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara had hoped to stabilize regions like Sweida by partnering with local leaders and warned that any misstep there could pull Syria back into broader war, undermining years of efforts to recover from civil conflict. But those efforts now appear increasingly fragile.
شباب قصف خطونا بسرعة 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 إذا استهدافنا من هيئة الأركان بشكل كامل. قصف ثاني دمروه. منتصر صوتك على الهواء. قصف هيئة الأركان بغارتين.
Earlier this week, Israel hit multiple targets across Syria, including sites in Damascus and Latakia, which included the presidential palace and Syrian military headquarters in Damascus. And these are not isolated operations. Israel right now seems to be expanding its military reach, perhaps opening another front in Syria altogether. Yesterday, the IDF convoys were seen near the Golan Heights, close to the Druze town of Majd al-Shams. It could be seen advancing deeper into Syria, perhaps indicating that Israel may be preparing for sustained operations on a new front. Experts are asking whether this surge in Israeli action is really just about security or if it is about politics. With mounting domestic pressure and demonstrations at home, experts say that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu could be using Syria to rally support and stay in power, especially as his government has lost major alliances in the Knesset just this week. The U.S. has publicly criticized Israel's recent strikes on Syria. Washington has made it extremely clear that it does not support Israel's attacks against Syria. The U.S. State Department says it expressed disapproval after the strikes on Damascus and further urged Israel to show restraint.
I can tell you regarding Israel's intervention and activity is the United States did not support recent Israeli strikes.
Still, Israel's actions suggest it holds major influence over what unfolds next in southern Syria. And its warnings to Damascus to stay out of the south are reportedly also testing Syria's sovereignty and undermining al-Shara's leadership, still trying to rebuild legitimacy in Syria at this point of time. There's also reportedly fear that Israel's claim of protecting the Druze community could perhaps fuel deeper divisions among Syria's minorities, whether Druze, Alawite or Kurdish, putting the fragile coalition needed to reconstruct Syria after 14 years of civil war under great risk. As Israel intensifies its campaign and Washington voices opposition, the conflict is rapidly surging, and in the middle of it all, millions of Syrians face yet another uncertain future. Well, the gloves are off again in the high-stakes public confrontation between two of the world's most influential figures. We are talking about US President Donald Trump and Tesla CEO Elon Musk. There was a seeming lull in the punch and counter-punch after Musk floated his own party, but the latest row over the Epstein files ends up giving the tech billionaire's political face a fresh shot in the arm. The Trump-Musk face-off over Jeffrey Epstein's legacy erupts as a complex interplay of personal motivations, strategic maneuvers, and major political ramifications. Elon Musk has come out all guns blazing against Trump in the last 24 hours. There have been 35, that's the number, anti-Trump posts by Musk since Wednesday. And that's according to report. And I'm quoting what Musk has said. Number one, can't believe Epstein killed himself, Elon Musk jabs as he questions Trump's silence and approach to the Jeffrey Epstein case. In yet another one, he asks, are there likely to be electronic records in any government or commercial computers recording who traveled on Epstein's plane to the US Virgin Islands? Musk takes spot shots at how Trump has handled past issues. He hit out at Trump's ducking real issues. In response to a document circulating online titled The Epstein File Phase 1, Musk asked, where is Phase 2? And the list perhaps goes on. All this came in response to last week's joint memo by the Department of Justice and FBI, which claimed that Epstein died by suicide. They also said that there was no client list, contradicting long-standing conspiracy theories that Epstein was blackmailing elite figures, including powerful Democrats. Now, Musk's criticism comes as Donald Trump faces scrutiny following a report in the Wall Street Journal. The report alleges that Trump wrote a birthday note to Epstein in the year 2003 that allegedly featured Trump's name typed within the outline of a naked woman. Trump has denied writing this note to Epstein, telling the Wall Street Journal, this is not me, this is a fake thing. He has also threatened to sue the Wall Street Journal and its owner, Rupert Murdoch, over the article. What all this marks is, number one, the rise of Musk as a political entity with his immense wealth, vast social media platform, and populist appeal to directly intervene in American governance. There's no denying that the long-term viability of Musk's America Party faces major legal and organizational hurdles. But Musk's demonstrated willingness to take on the real giant makes him a formidable force in U.S. politics today. Well, amid ongoing trade deal talks between the United States of America and India, there has been a growing focus on the dairy sector that feeds more than 1.4 billion people and employs over 80 million workers. However, something called non-veg milk is now making headlines because it is majorly affecting trade deal discussions between both the countries. Right. Now, this may sound unusual and you may wonder, how can milk which comes from cows be non-vegetarian? Well, the milk might not be non-vegetarian, but the diet consumed by the cows leads to this term. Dairy farming practices in the United States of America often allows cows to fat feed that includes animal-based goods like meat and blood. Cows in America are allowed to eat feed that include parts of pigs, fish, chicken, horses. Apart from that, cattle can continue to consume pig and horse blood for protein, as well as tallow, a hard fat from rendered cattle parts, as a fattening source. However, this is not the case in India, where cows are typically fed a strictly vegetarian diet. Hence, this non-veg milk is causing contention between both the countries. India is asserting that there should be strict certification delineating that imported milk should come from cows that have not been fed animal-based goods. New Delhi has termed this as a non-negotiable red line because of cultural and religious concerns here in India. The US has termed India's demands as an unnecessary trade barrier. According to reports, Washington hinted that India's updated dairy certification implemented in November 2024, it does not state such concerns. It has told the World Trade Organization that India's updated dairy certificate remains trade restrictive and perhaps unscientific, further asserting that America's dairy goods are safe and widely consumed worldwide. And shifting our focus to Africa, where the tiny African kingdom of Eswatini is pushing back, albeit cautiously, against US President Donald Trump's controversial third country deportation policy. The African kingdom, also formerly known as Swaziland, has now announced that it would repatriate 5 migrants who had been deported there by the United States of America. And that's after American officials said that the migrants' home countries had refused to accept them. According to the Department of Homeland Security, that is, the migrants came from Vietnam, Jamaica, Laos, Yemen and Cuba and had been serving time in American prisons for serious crimes. The removal was the first so-called third country deportation from the United States of America to take place. And that's since the Supreme Court ruled this month that the Trump administration could move forward with the practice of deporting migrants to third countries. However, Eswatini government says that it is now working with US for the transit of these inmates, these 5 migrants, to their country of origin. All right, with the country's opposition party, PUDEMO, saying that Eswatini should not be treated as a dumping ground for those deemed unfit to live elsewhere. But the question we ask tonight is, if the United States of America is putting pressure on Africa, according to reports, it's not just Eswatini, the Trump administration is pressing more African countries to accept its deported illegal immigrants. Apart from Eswatini, some other countries that have been approached till now is Nigeria. Just last week, the Nigerian foreign minister said that the US is mounting pressure on African countries to accept Venezuelans to be deported from the United States of America. In other news, buried deep beneath Antarctica's icy heart lies a frozen time capsule older than human civilization itself. Scientists have just retrieved a 1.5 million year old ice core that could rewrite everything we know about Earth's climate. This isn't just about the past, this ice could shape the future. Take a look.
In a world suffocating under climate anxiety, the answers may lie frozen under our feet. A scientific team drilling into the ancient heart of Antarctica has pulled up one of the oldest ice samples, a pristine 2.7-kilometer core carrying 1.5 million years of Earth's frozen history. From the surface, it looks like a cylinder of ice, but inside it holds whispers from a forgotten world, bubbles of air locked in time, carrying messages from a climate long gone.
In Antarctica, when the snow falls, it doesn't melt, so it accumulates and it forms layer upon layer over millions of years. So what we can do is go and drill down through that ice sheet. So much in the same way as an apple corer, you just core down and retrieve the sections of ice from in between. So what we end up with is cylinders of ice that go all the way down through the ice sheet, and in this case 2.8 kilometers.
The international effort, known as the Beyond Epica project, is a race against time. Scientists hope this ancient ice will unlock clues about the Earth's carbon dioxide levels and temperatures before the mid-Pleistocene shift. A major turning point when ice ages began changing rhythm from 40,000-year to 100,000-year cycles.
If we are able to retrieve that, we can learn a lot about the climate of the past that we haven't been able to see before. And being able to see and understand the climate of the past, we can better understand what will happen with climate change of the future, which is something that I like to work with because it's a very relevant problem of today.
Scientists will now thaw this 2.8 km long core inch by inch, unleashing what's trapped: specks of ancient dust, volcanic ash, and microscopic diatoms. What will spill out? Evidence of climate cycles, mysterious glacial shifts, a whiff of ice age mammoths, all written in layers older than human memory. Researchers know there was a turning point. About 900,000 years ago, the world's climate cycle inexplicably changed. For the first time, thanks to this sample, science will have answers not just about the past, but for the future of every single person on Earth.